This incredible document of just horrifying racism is being echoed in 2022 on Louder with Crowder on YouTube. No joke. Like, you would think the times have changed. We've come so far from those days, you know? And yet, this happening yesterday.
Just whores in general, then.
All right. I figured you would have already had a healthy dose of conservatives misquoting MLK on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And obviously taking the one quote multiple times. You know, I have a dream of a world in which my kids will be based on, or judged on the content of the character, not the color of their skin, which every conservative seems to think means meritocracy, when in fact they're doing the all lives matter when they do that. Because that quote and that speech, the same speech in which he says things like, I'm black and beautiful and proud and things like that, is that his kids are judged by the color of their skin and not the content of their character. So it's really fucking all lives mattery to take that and then all of a sudden be like, oh, well, yes, yeah, he was just talking about how, why does everyone see color? Like, why does why are all these leftists trying to tell us that we have to like see everything in terms of race and gender? Why are they always talking? They're always so fixated on that. They're like obsessed with this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, no. I would say the right is way more obsessed with this shit. I mean, you're the ones passing legislation so that, white people cannot feel offended. Okay, hold on. I want to get this one right. I want to pull it because I'm not making this one up. This is an actual new law that just passed. It's basically a fragility law. And I'm going to say this, and I know people are thinking like, oh, Lance is going to go on some anti-white rant now. I'm not, actually. I'm going to speak to my, let's just say, fellow white-skinned people and say that we do not have to be cringe. We do not, okay? A Florida bill that would prohibit public schools and private businesses from making white people feel discomfort when they teach students or train employees about discrimination in the nation's past received its first approval Tuesday. This is cringe. This is fucking cringe. This is like, finally a bill has been passed so that white people will not have to be hurt by their own fragility. You are protecting people against their own fragility by doing this. And here's what I say, okay? I'm going to reach out to fellow white-skinned people and say, we do not have to be cringe. This is cringe. This is cringe as fuck. And if you do not want to be cringe and be on the side of the non-cringe, of which, you know, I'm proud to be in the non-cringe white people section, all right? That shit is cringe as fuck. We're going to be fine. It's okay to learn about history, you know? History doesn't have to suddenly be like, well, there's history, but then there's, you know, history. Yeah. Yeah, the better kind. The kind where I don't have to feel guilty because, you know. Why do you feel guilty? That's what's especially cringe about this. You don't have to feel guilty about anything that you didn't have a part in. Like, honestly, the idea that you have to feel ashamed for slavery, like, no, you don't. Fucking, they should feel ashamed. Fucking slave owners should be ashamed of themselves. Fuck them. Fucking degenerates. Myself in the modern era, no, I have absolutely zero guilt for slavery. I would have guilt if I was actively participating or actively, unconsciously or consciously participating in trying to uphold the systems, which we all do, you know, passively just by participating in capitalism in a lot of ways. But if you participate or actively participate in the systems themselves, you know, that are actually affecting people's lives, if you ignore them, like Steven Crowder does, if you just kind of do this whole little like, I don't see race, I don't see color, I see nothing, I don't see prejudice, I don't see white people, black people, men, women, zers, I see nothing can harm me, you know, okay. We're not saying that you have to look at everyone in terms of race. We're saying that's the way society already does, and we're saying we would like to put an end to that. That's it, right? You might not realize that as a white person because you leave your house and you don't think twice about it. That's why, like, I've had a kind of a unique lived experience, having like a much more indigenous looking mother, actually having a much more Chilean looking father, and then looking white as the driven snow myself. You never think about issues like race. You never think, because, like, you know, for a white person, I don't get followed around by security when I go into Shoppers Drug Mart. And like, I say that because I have friends who do. If they look outwardly indigenous, they get followed around by security guards who are just like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, yep, all right, follow him. Like, yeah, he may steal something, you know. We don't know. We'll find out. That's never happened to me. I've never even thought about that. First time I was told about that, I was like, oh, shit, that's fucked up. That sucks. That really sucks. Okay, well, looks like race exists.
Unfortunately, MLK did change as well. Now, let me be really clear about this. I like a lot of what MLK Jr. had to say. I certainly think that his speech has been, pardon my language, shit on by today's left, where he talked about the content of character. These were values that we would all align ourselves with.
Yeah. Wow. That was a good setup. Okay. I have not pre-watched this one. I'm React Andy in real time, but that was a good setup. Because yes, I am shitting on the conservative interpretation of it. Because that's not his words. It's weird to take a dead person's words, someone who is just like so venerated in the modern era, and then to twist them for your own political use. That's a bizarre thing. And don't get me wrong, Steven Crowder's not the only one to do that. We watched the Jimmy Dore highlights yesterday. I'll play them again though.
However, MLK did become far more.
Wait, Blake989 says, "Get ready for some horrible shit." I mean, he never ceases to not surprise me.
More radical as life went on, and there's a lot that you don't know about MLK Jr. And I want to be clear, there are values, of course, that he espoused that we agree with.
Yeah.
But the man was flawed like a lot of men. But the issue here is if it's going to be a national holiday while you're tearing down statues of people who fought against slavery, like Abraham Lincoln, or even people who freed slaves upon their death, where we're talking about George Washington or Jefferson, then you can't have a statue and you can't have an MLK Jr. Day, because what I'm about to tell you is a lot worse.
I didn't know a lot of this.
Yeah. And everything...
the wife of MLK actually gave his letters and all of his writings to somebody at Stanford, and he specifically formed MLK in a way that would be palatable. So he cut out all of the stuff that's
all the
negative,
rough edges.
right? All the rough edges. So that's why we have and he advocated for the MLK Day.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing. Everything we're about to...
Has everyone in both chats already seen this? This one's a ride. It's going to be bad, like really bad. I honestly don't know how Crowder's still on YouTube. Oh, it's bad. Be ready for old people racist jokes. Oh, God. I feel like all of you have already seen this. See, I didn't want Steven Crowder on MLK Jr. Day. You know, I didn't want to listen to his voice. I didn't want to hear this because I was like, there's already enough misinterpretations of MLK, his work. You know, maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised, I guess. Maybe he'll be like, he was actually a radical socialist, and a lot of people know that. And I'd be like, well, that's actually, I mean, it's actually true, Steven Crowder. He was a democratic socialist. That's true.
Here with you comes directly from congressional records, archived newspapers, MLK's own speeches. And I know the FBI is not an organization that I trust. Okay, I want to be very clear. However, none of the evidence...
That's a very recent phenomenon with you conservatives, though. You got to understand that's a Trump era thing. This is a new thing. You know, you're enjoying this shiny new toy, and it's like, hey, maybe the power of the state bad, and the spy agencies of the state they also seem to have more overreach than one would like. Wasn't typically as directed towards non-communist white people. But, you know, today, maybe I feel a little persecuted because of the way that they've been going after Trump and so-called white nationalists as of recently.
We'll be providing for you here. It has actually been refuted by anyone in the MLK camps.
Yeah, they just don't like how they obtained it.
Right. It was surveillance transcripts that were reported by a guy named David Garrow. But he also, this is the biographer. He obtained these transcripts from the FBI. He was the official biographer on MLK. He won the 97 Pulitzer Prize. So this is a man who was very pro. Did I say?
You said 90, 87.
87.
Yeah.
And the FBI surveillance.
Oh, is this the sex allegations?
Audio will be released in 2027. I don't know why they picked that year. I have no idea.
Specific year?
Later, you know. Yeah. They're like, oh, crap, it's getting closer.
So, here's something that you probably know that MLK, for example, let's start with this. Supported peaceful protest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That is true. Sometimes. He also had some pretty, I guess you could say, unsavory opinions about riots that I do think need to be considered because a lot of people don't know this part.
And continue to say to my brothers and sisters that this is not the way. Continue to affirm that there is another way. But at the same time, it is as necessary for me to be...
I'm just going to say this right out of the gates, right? If you happen to be a group that is having violence enacted upon you by the state, which again is going to be a large historical context behind the words that he's saying, and also the necessity of perhaps his actions, which for the overwhelming majority was, of course, non-violent protesting, which, you know, is one of the key historical notes of MLK Jr. that people love to bring up on both sides of the aisle for important reasons. But either way, like, that is completely different than the modern era, what is by large made up persecution of the MAGA people. Like, it's the hardest thing in the world to be a conservative, and now we hate the FBI because they went after Daddy Trump and all this other kind of shit. These are two completely different things. You know, to even remotely set them up, like Steven Crowder's coming, I mean, as always, talking out of his ass.
As vigorous in condemning the conditions which cause persons to feel that they must engage in riotous activities as it is for me to condemn riots.
I agree with everything, so that's fine.
I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. What is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again.
See, and that's the problem, is the open-endedness to it, because, well, what is justice? Well, right now people are saying, oh, injustice is there are too many Asians at Stanford. Yeah. So let's burn down a Walgreens.
Yeah. No, be more specific than
you need to be a little more specific, and let me be clear, too, at another 1967 speech, and we'll get to the crack whores, and we'll get to the orgies, we'll get to all of that, which a lot of you don't know about MLK. 5 things you don't know about MLK.
Wait, what? Okay, well, the majority of conservatives are using this as the opportunity to talk about the one quote they know by a black public speaker, theorist, historian, whatever you want to call him, preacher, Martin Luther King Jr. That's what the Ted Cruzes will do. That's what they'll all come out and be like, now's the perfect time to think of the immortal words of MLK, of course, which happen to be, judging people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. So maybe let's stop doing that, lefties, because that's what you seem to talk about a lot. I don't know. But no, he decided to go in a completely different direction. This is just 180. Gonna go right out there and go real fucked up with it. Wow. Yeah, well, I stand by what I said. He consistently continues to surprise me. There's no limits. It's no one else has such an impressive combination of being both incredibly unfunny, like absolutely just bereft of any comedic crumbs, just even like little samplings of comedy, and as deeply offensive as possible. Like simultaneously, because there is offensive comedy. I'm gonna be real with you. That can be hilarious because you're just like, it's that mix of like, oh my god. First you get the oh my god, and then afterwards you're like, holy shit, and then you start laughing. There is that can happen, but this is just a simultaneous clash of one of the most unfunny people you'll ever meet in your life, mixed with like, how horrifying can I be? And that's the Steven Crowder show. That's Louder with Crowder right there.
You didn't expect to hear MLK and crack whores. What? Today. I have a dream of non-crack whores at a Motel 6.
Nope. No.
I don't think crack exists.
Oh my god. Wow. Fucking hell. You know, his horrifyingly bad accents aside, and they are horrifyingly bad, what I'm sure he's grasping for straws here, racist straws as they were, is probably a lot of the rumors that were made up by the FBI themselves. The FBI was trying to do counterintelligence towards both the civil rights movement and what MLK himself was talking about on a regular basis. So yes, they planted a lot of different stories. Amongst individuals. They also mailed a letter to MLK demanding that he Roblox himself. I'm not joking. If you think I'm joking here, hold on. Let's do a little American history. So I don't know if you all saw the FBI did what it did, the FBI does what it does every year, which is it releases a little statement, very positive one about MLK Jr., usually along the lines of like, you know, we remember him and all the greatness that he did, things like that, of that nature. And they got pretty ratioed this year. Oh wow, I am myself quite close to a ratio. That'll be a first for me, ratioing the FBI. So the FBI says, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? This MLK Day 2022, and every day the FBI remains dedicated to service and commitment to protecting our communities. Aw, thanks. Anyways, so I said you dropped this. King. In view of your low-grade, abnormal personal behavior, I will not dignify your name with either a Mr. or a Reverend or a Doctor, and your last name calls to mind only the type of king, such as King Henry, and his countless acts of adultery and immoral conduct, lower than that of a beast. King, look into your heart. You know you are complete fraud and a great liability to all of us N-words. White people in this country have enough frauds of their own, but I am sure they don't have one at this time that is anywhere near your equal. You are no clergyman and you know it. I repeat, you are a colossal fraud and an evil, vicious one at that. You cannot believe in God as you act as you do. Clearly, you don't believe in any personal moral principles. King, like all frauds, your end is approaching. You could have been our greatest leader. You, even at an early age, have turned out not to be a leader, but a dissolute, abnormal, moral imbecile. We will now have to depend on... Seems legit, by the way. We will now have to depend on our other leaders, like Wilkins, a man of character, and thank God we have others like him. But you are done. Your honorary degrees, your Nobel Prize, what a grim farce, and other awards will not save you. King, I repeat, you are done. No person can overcome facts, not even a fraud like yourself. Lend your sexually psychotic ear to the enclosure. You will find yourself in all the dirt, filth, evil, and moronic talk exposed on the record for all time. I repeat, no person can successfully act against facts. You are finished. You will find for the record of all time your filthy, dirty, evil companions, male and female, giving expression with you to your hideous abnormalities, male and female based. And some of them pretend to be ministers of the gospel. Satan could not do more. What incredible evilness. It is there, it is on all the record, your sexual orgies. Listen to yourself, you filthy, abnormal animal. You are on the record. You have been on the record, all of your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies extending far into the past. This is one but a tiny sample. You will understand this. Yes, from your various evil playmates, it actually says playmates, evil playmates on the West Coast to redacted and others on the West Coast outside of the country. You're on the record. King, you are done. The American public, the church organizations that have been helping Protestant, Catholic, and Jews will know you for what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. I think that's the fourth time they've used the word beast, by the way. So others will have backed you. You are done. King, there's only thing left for you to do. Content warning, everybody. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do this exact thing has been selected for specific reason. It is definite practical significance. You are done. Therefore, this is the only way out for you. You better take it for what it is. You filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation. Like, this incredible document of just fucking horrifying racism is being echoed in 2022 on Louder with Crowder on YouTube. No joke. Like, you would think the times have changed. We've come so far from those days, you know? And yet, this happening yesterday.
Just whores in general, then.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Yeah. That is absolutely wild. That's the FBI, everybody. That's why, by the way, if you're a student of history, and this is not just leftists, you most likely have despised the FBI for a long time. Just because conservatives found it to be cool in 2016 onward, because it's like, hey, they're coming after Daddy Trump. Well, the FBI is not great, see? You're not going to enjoy that organization anymore, see? Nah, they've been doing fucked up shit for a long time. Guest Darren Crowder said that if King was alive today, he would wonder why people still complain about racism because he never wanted to play the victim card in perpetuity. Once again, I'm taking an impression of King's voice. Crowder played an own updated version of I Have a Dream, mocking the Black Lives Matter community and the woke left community who enable him, and later said King wouldn't use a condom. There was no faster way to ruin an orgy than a rubber. Wow. That's fucked. And it's like, it's wild that, like, even by conservative standards, this is gross. Like, this is just fucked up. You know, not that, like, you know, there is no bar with Steven Crowder. You know, he is always going to sink to newer levels of depravity. He has to be one of the most horrifyingly egregious, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, fucking entertainment racist clowns on the internet. By far. Is this the strike that bans the nut block? I used to quote to tell my dad to stop being racist. Now, because the right has taken it, I've changed it to fix my anti-racist pansexual self better. I do not fuck those based on the color of the skin, but the content of their character. Only humans with cool bugs and features, not a case that come in. This is absolutely despicable. Prince Andrew's social media accounts deleted. What? Oh, that's totally unrelated, but pretty wild. I didn't know that. Royal websites refer to his role in the past tense. Holy shit. This has to be proof that he's trying to get banned to get his equivalent of a blue check mark. Well, I mean, he's been pushing the fucking envelope for a while, for a long time now. Thanks, Tom Banner. It's like, it's not surprising to me that it's not surprising that he would just do this, I'd say, as a blanket statement. I'm surprised that he went against the grain. Like, this is a different demographic, right? There's the conservatives who like using MLK and MLK Day, such as, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity style kind of people, even Tucker Carlson, the avowed kind of white nationalist that he is. Even those individuals, they'll gladly use MLK as kind of like a prop. It'll be like, oh, he spoke about meritocracy. He was really huge into it. Yeah, he loved it. He was, a proud American preacher who believed in people being based on their merits. That's it. And was really upset that this, anti-SJW culture would arise and the wokes would demand their safe spaces. That's what MLK really was talking about at the end of the day. Man, that's gross.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we beseech thee to smite down our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble court jesters, here to amuse you. To our lords, Trevor R., we give thanks for this spit of land for us to eke out this meager existence. To our knights, Merid, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Ellie Leslie, Alex P., Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multi Mondi, Trevor Yanis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our flag in a veil, and we salute you, our friends.